hooks. Shoot your arrows. Cooper Kupp plucks it out of the air and gives the Rams the lead. Robert Woods, touchdown. LA! Dog goes crashing into the end zone. Aaron Donald almost beat the football there. Corey Littleton, have yourself a day. Picked off. Marcus Peters coming off the edge. And Ryan will be wrapped up by Clay Matthews. Everett in stride. Wow!
Franklin Myers gets his hand down there.
Leto got a hand on it. Did he pick it? He did!
Racing down the sideline is Akeem Talib. Gurley for MVP! Touchdown LA!
Picked off by John Johnson.
Well, Dante Fowler, who is able to get to Breeze. Greg Zuerlein sends the Rams to the Super Bowl! LA will play for the Lombardi!
Welcome back, guys, to episode 191 of the Downtown Rams podcast. I'm your host, Jake Ellenbogen. Joining me is Alexis Kraft, and it's another draft season podcast. We have two cornerbacks. We have Amani Oruwariye of Penn State joining the show, and we have Shak Taylor from Kansas, another cornerback joining the show. So hope you guys enjoy. It was a lot of fun. Really good podcast, we thought, and these guys are both studs. Amani, you've probably heard of, and if you haven't heard of Shak, I encourage you to check him out as well. So without further ado, here is the episode. If you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe and leave reviews on wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, guys. Enjoy. All right, guys, join the podcast. We have Amani Oruwariye, Penn State cornerback. How's it going, man? Thanks so much for coming on.
Hey, it's going well. How about yourself?
We're good. We're super excited to talk to you. And just to kind of start this thing off, we're just curious, how old were you when you started playing football, and how did you get into the sport?
I was about 10, 11-ish when I started playing football. I grew up playing soccer for about 9 years, and then transitioned to football in like middle school, and so just started playing Little League. Played about 3 years of Little League, and then made the transition to high school. Started playing, junior varsity. So it really wasn't, anything big for me. A lot of people, grow up just in love with the sport, and it's everything to them. I wasn't like that. I was just really just doing it because that's what everyone was doing. It was an extracurricular activity. And then, just started playing through high school, actually getting better. And then, the offers started rolling in senior year. And then, just kind of never looked back from there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's awesome. Growing up, who was your favorite NFL player?
My favorite NFL player? Growing up, I used to watch Damian Thompson a lot. That was my guy. I had his jersey and everything. He's still one of my favorite players. Obviously, he's not in the NFL anymore. But I don't know if I have a favorite right now. There's some corners I watch and people I watch to try to better my game, but, no one really sticks out.
Yeah, I feel that. And then, so you play football, obviously, growing up through high school, and then it comes time for you to play in college. What was the main factor for you in deciding to play at Penn State?
Obviously, I was originally committed to Vanderbilt University, and so that was where Coach Franklin and his staff was before Penn State. They ended up making that switch over to Penn State, and so they offered me here, and I came up, visited, saw everything it had to offer, world-class education, tradition, networking, like the biggest living alumni in the world. It's just and then big time football, obviously. So it just offered so many things. It was a no-brainer.
Yeah, and kind of doubling back to that. What was it like to play under Coach Franklin?
It was good. Coach Franklin, he's very personable. He can relate to the players well. He's tough. Everyone will tell you he's tough, but at the end of the day, he wants the best for you. So he challenges you to, make you the best player you can be, but not only that, make you the best man you're going to be, and best father, best husband you could be when you leave. Just instilling great characteristics and great things like that while you're here, so you leave to be better.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know it's probably hard to pick, but do you have a favorite memory from your time playing college football at Penn State? Maybe like a favorite play or a favorite game?
Oh yeah, I mean it would definitely just be the Big Ten championship we won. I mean it was a special year. We started off not so great, and then be able to turn it around, just win as many games as we did, and go on to win the Big Ten championship, and even getting a chance to play in the Rose Bowl. It was just the best year.
Now, playing in the Big Ten, I mean, obviously you went up against some top-notch competition. Of course, you went up against teams like USC in the bowl game. And I just want to ask you, who's the toughest player you went up against while in college?
College, like really up against. I don't know. I mean, I played against Juju in the Rose Bowl a little, but Ohio State always had some guys. No one really stood out. I thought just because they had a guy at number 18, Felton Davis, he was pretty good. He got me better. He challenged each other and competed all game. I mean, I played against some good guys. I really can't pinpoint one particularly.
And you had the opportunity to compete in the Senior Bowl. What was that like?
Oh, it was a great experience. Got to be around guys around the country that obviously are trying to pursue their dream as well, and then be able to get coached by an NFL staff early before a lot of other guys get to was amazing. Getting to get that feel and sit in those meetings and pick their brain. It was just amazing. It was a great experience.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun for me as well. I've been there twice. Unfortunately, I tried to get an interview with you, but man, you're the busy man over there. Everyone was sticking their phone right in your face and microphones and all that. So I'm sure you kind of know exactly what I'm talking about. Someone that wasn't at the Senior Bowl may not know, but yeah, I just have to ask you. Obviously, you go from the Senior Bowl, and it sounds to me like you've enjoyed it. I've heard mixed stories on the Senior Bowl. Whether it's fun, it's great, but it's also a ton of work, and they kind of pick your brain and all that. But it sounds like you had a good time. Kind of moving forward, you go to the NFL Combine, and for my money, I thought you really killed it at the NFL Combine. Of course, everyone's talking about the 40-yard times when you look at a cornerback, and I think you checked every box there. But what was your experience like there? How well do you think you did, and was there anything that really stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, it was just a blessing to even be there and be invited there. So I just took the whole experience in and just took it day by day. But it was good. It was hard. It was a grind. And sometimes a lot of the process was grooming, but at the end of the day, it was a blessing, like I said, and to be around those guys. Like I was at the Senior Bowls, but even more at the Combine, and just get to see how those guys think and how those their experiences, and just build those relationships like I did. That'll go on and thrive years to come. And then just being around those coaches and those scouts and getting to show them how good I am on the board and how much football I know. That was great. And then obviously watching the Combine growing up my whole life, just being able to get to compete in that, run that 4-yard dash, and compete in the drills. You just grew up watching that on TV, and be able to do that in front of all the Penn State fans and my family and friends. It was just amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm always just kind of curious, to know, because you kind of hear all these things about crazy questions being asked at the Combine. Was there a craziest question that comes to your mind that anybody asked you while you were there?
No, I didn't have any of those crazy questions that I know you're talking about. I got nothing crazy. Everything with me is pretty straightforward, relatively clean cut. So I didn't get too many bad questions. That was good.
You didn't get like any of those, like, are you a dog or a cat?
Oh no, nope. Didn't get any of those. Nothing. Very straightforward with me.
Well, that's cool. Obviously, those questions are probably annoying, but regardless, you participate in your March Pro Day. I really like, this whole process because it's just like, for yourself and the other guys playing the Shrine Game and the Texas Bowl, all of that. You go to the Senior Bowl, then you go right to the Combine, and then you have your Pro Day where it's kind of like you play against all your peers or play with your peers, at the Senior Bowl. You go to the Combine, it's more just a singular type of event. And then you kind of finish it up with the Pro Day where you're back on the field, that same field you played on with, your teammates. So, what is that experience like as a whole?
You saying just the whole process in general?
Like the Pro Day after like going through those different steps in your process.
Yeah. But it was good. I mean, it was the best part about it is, I didn't do as much, just did on-field drills. Because I did everything else at the Combine, but be able to support my guys that I came in with for their big day at Pro Day, and to see them chase their dreams was great. Being able to support them and help them out as much as I can, and then just for me, just look crisp in my position drills and finish off the day strong. So it was a great experience.
Well, that's awesome. And, in your own words, what would you consider your biggest strength as a player to be?
Biggest strength? Just on field, I would say just my intelligence, ability to watch as much film and, route recognition, be able to determine routes before they come based on their spins and splits. But and then just ball skills, just going up and get it, being able to match up with the bigger receivers and go attack the ball to get takeaways.
Yeah, and Amani, talking about your game going in the NFL, what's that one area of not really necessarily weakness, but something you're trying to improve on heading into the next level? I
would just say like my just aggressiveness in the run game, being more of a presence in the run game, being 6'2", 204. It's a big corner. I'm going to be one of the bigger corners in the league. So just being able to use that size to my ability and really take over the game when it comes to run stopping, and even at the line of scrimmage and man coverage and things like that, just coming into my own and my physical presence, that would be the one thing I'm trying to take it up a notch.
Is there any player that comes to mind maybe of a guy that maybe you kind of looked up to at that cornerback position that you've tried to mold your game after, or a guy who you look at elements of his game and you try to incorporate it into your own?
I would say I try not to just use one guy. I usually just to take parts of, multiple guys' game. I like Richard Sherman. He's that film study guy, that guy who isn't blessed with the freakish talent, but, is intelligent on the field and can recognize routes like I try to do. And then Jalen Ramsey just brings that mentality to the game, that confidence that you need at the corner position. And then just all of the guys that, play the ball well, Darius Slay, things like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think those are some really good picks there. Kind of a fun question we ask everybody that comes on the show, based on position wise. Which receiver would you most want to cover in the NFL?
What was
that? Which receiver would you want to cover most in the NFL?
Which receiver? Whoever lines up against me. There hasn't been one that I'm really pinpointing, like I can't wait to line up against him. I got no grudge with anyone or anything like that. But whoever lines up against me, I'm going to be prepared to try to shut him down as best as I can, because that's just my mentality coming in the league, just to be a shutdown corner and earn that respect as quick as possible.
Oh, for sure. So I'm going to guess this next question that I had was if you had to pick a quarterback you most wanted to pick off in the NFL. Is there one, or would it be all 32?
That one would be Tom Brady. Not anything because that's my favorite, one of my favorite players to watch. I just think it would be cool to go against him and say I picked off him, because I know he's going to go down as one of the best, if not the best quarterback to play the game.
For sure.
Yeah, we definitely get Tom Brady a lot. Yeah, I just kind of want to ask you because, you're coming from Penn State. You're not coming from a small school. You're coming from a school that has established talent already in the league. How do you kind of look at that, like where, maybe every Sunday you could be going up or you could have guys from college on your roster? I mean, Chris Godwin's out there, Saquon Barkley, Trace is in the draft with you, Sharif. So there's so many guys, Marcus Allen, just like the list goes on. What does that mean to you kind of coming to the NFL? Kind of away from necessarily the professional side of things, but, when it comes to like jersey swapping and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was just about to say the jersey swap. I think that's just a cool trend that's going on in the NFL. And, the first time I get to go against one of my teammates and jersey swap, that'll be awesome. I'd just be able to say, we've been through the grind in college together and, we kind of made it to where we wanted to be. And just to take a picture of that that's just a significant moment. But yeah, I mean, we have tons of guys in the NFL, and so be able to play against them and just rep that Penn State pride while we're in the NFL would be awesome.
Definitely. Yeah, the guy that comes to my mind is Saquon Barkley, who I'm a really big fan of, and who came out of Penn State. So that'll be probably cool for you to be able to go play against him for sure.
Oh, yeah. He said something about me being like him wanting me to go to the Eagles so he could play against me two times a year or something. and he was like, I promise you I want to come at you and do something. Like he was saying something, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I'll be ready for it.
Bring it on.
That's one of my best friends, so we'll definitely meet each other sometime next level.
Don't let him hurdle you.
Oh, no, that ain't happening.
Yeah, and we ask, so we are a Los Angeles Rams kind of based podcast, so every prospect that comes on our show, we do have to ask, have you met or spoken with the Los Angeles Rams?
I briefly spoke with them at the Senior Bowl and even at the Combine a little, but just really informally, nothing too crazy. I haven't. That was really it. That was the basis of it, and just general questions. And I mean, obviously, they're interested a bit, but I don't really know the extent of that. But really, just talk to them just briefly.
Yeah, well, we certainly like to hear that you've talked to them because we would love for you to end up a Los Angeles Ram. But Jake and I are fans of you no matter where you go and are going to follow you. And we know that you're going to have a successful career in the NFL. So we can't wait to watch what you do, no matter what team you go to. But just to I
appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. And just to wrap it up in your own words, who is Amani Oruwariye as a player and who is he as a person?
As a player, he's just a determined guy who never had it handed to him and had to work for everything he's done. So he plays with that chip on his shoulder at all times and remembers where he came from and knows where he wants to be at and has goals. But off the field is a kind-hearted, respected, and a great friend and great family member, great brother, and someone who just wants to use his platform in a great way and make a positive impact on his world.
That's awesome, man. Really glad I was able to get you on here. Really appreciate you taking the time. I did try to, meet up with you at the Senior Bowl again interview, but I mean, it was like pulling teeth to get anybody because I mean, you were flocking with all the different scouts and, anybody, any media or anything like that. So, really cool to get you on here. Echoing what Alexis said, we're going to be fans no matter where you go. It's going to be a lot of fun, rooting for you. Hope you, go the first night of the draft. I think that would be, fantastic. And hopefully you go to the right fit because, I think that's what it's all about. But stay healthy, man. And, let's keep in touch.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thanks so much, Amani.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
All right, guys, joining me on the Downtown Rams podcast, I have Kansas cornerback Shak Taylor. How's it going, man? Thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, it's going good. No problem, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I really appreciate you coming on. We talked a little bit off air, so but huge Kansas fan. I've been running the Downtown Rams podcast, and I got to have my Jayhawks on here.
Rock Chalk.
Rock Chalk, man. So, when did you start playing football? I got to ask.
So I really learned how to play football. I was playing in the street when I was younger, like either in grass or in the street. But I didn't start playing organized football till I was in about like 6th grade. I was playing park ball. I just kept playing it on from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just listening to everyone has their start, and we talk about the NFL Network has that football life where it's like that documentary. It's like everyone really comes from all different types of backgrounds and their starts, and I always find it really cool to ask that. And then I also want to ask you another thing I always ask everyone: who was your favorite NFL player growing up?
Growing up, I'll have to say Michael Vick. Growing up, I think Vick was my favorite player. Vick or Chad Johnson. Between those two.
I like that. Both very explosive players that, I think you can make the argument Michael Vick is the most dynamic player to ever play the sport. Just unbelievable. And he changed the game.
for sure.
It's kind of funny because, some people will say, well, the longevity kills him, but you can't tell the story of football without, mentioning Michael Vick. It's funny. So I like that. I like that pick. What was your experience like? Starting at South Dakota State as a freshman, and then of course going JUCO and all before you ended up going to Kansas.
Yeah, I mean it was tough, especially coming out of high school. I was really under the radar, and I didn't have the best of grades, so. South Dakota State was one of the teams that was interested in me. And willingly I qualified late, like I want to say early April. So it was like 2 months after signing day. I qualified 2 months later, and they still were waiting on me. So that's what made me go there. In my experience, it was good there. I actually played against KU my freshman year. That was my first collegiate game in 2015. We played South Dakota State versus Kansas. But, something I just decided it was best for me to go JUCO the next year, even though I played and started a couple games as a freshman. Just felt like that was best for me. JUCO, it was tough, but it was either, make or break. If you don't make it out of JUCO, then you're not playing nowhere else. So that was my goal, is to do 1 year at JUCO. I ended up doing a couple months at Mason Community College, and I wanted to be a mid-year guy, so I took extra classes online so I could get my AA and transfer mid-year.
Yeah, that's definitely experience and definitely a journey, and I think that's funny. You mentioned South Dakota State, your first game you play KU. It's like if someone told you that you'd be playing for KU your senior year, when, told you as a young kid, playing for South Dakota State, I mean, would you believe them?
It's crazy. I mean, people still surprised now that I'm playing college football, and especially for the Big 12 also, like, I caught a lot of guys off guard, but hey, that's how life works.
Yeah, I mean, you put in the work, and, I think as long as, guys are working hard, I think they can really achieve anything. And obviously, you've made multiple jumps. It's like you're climbing, that ladder, and now, the NFL, of course, awaits. But before we get into that, I do want to, talk a bit about Kansas. What made you decide to transfer to Kansas when it came to, transferring as a JUCO guy?
Kansas. So, I think, I was in JUCO. We was on a bowl game schedule. So my recruiting process was thin. Like I had like 2 weeks to try to take like 5 visits because we went to a bowl game. So I want to say the second week, Kansas came in hot, and they offered me and everything, and they wanted me to come on a visit that weekend. But meanwhile, I had other visits kind of lined up. I chose to take that visit just because I feel like it was going to be a great experience. When I visited, I just felt comfortable. Felt like this could be a place where I could call home for my last 2 years of college. And I don't know. I felt a good vibe when I came on my visit here.
Yeah, it's definitely not hard to see why. I mean, I went to Lawrence once, and I went right after Kansas had lost in the championship game to Kentucky in basketball, and that obviously sucked. But when I went out there, I I went into Allen Fieldhouse, and obviously they weren't playing, but just seeing Allen Fieldhouse and just seeing the campus and everything. It's when people say magical, they kind of overuse that. Like I've been to campuses where I'm like, no, that's not magical in the slightest. But but Lawrence, it's different, and I'm sure you noticed that obviously because you ended up going there. But I think that's really cool. Obviously, being able, because not everyone has this journey. You went from point A to point B to point C. And that's takes.
It was tough. Like JUCO days, it was crazy. I actually really been on my own since I was like 16. So it was nothing. I felt like it was nothing I already hadn't been through that I couldn't endure. So in my eyes, JUCO was just another obstacle that I had to get around.
Yeah, and you say you were alone since you were 16. Like, what do you mean by that? Like you were living by yourself?
I was like 16, 17. I decided to move out my mom's house. Basically, that's basically how it was. Like things weren't going, in favor, and I feel like in order for me to change my life, I had to, get out of there. So my uncle, his name Robert Nelson, he was playing for Arizona State, and I asked him, could I come out there and move with him? Just to, get my life back on the right path and focus up on football. He was like, yeah. So, meanwhile, he's playing football for them. So I come out there, I'm like 16, 17. And, our schedule was crazy. We play college football. The schedule was crazy. So he didn't really have no time to really, show me around and stuff. Like, I don't know. I was taking the buses to get to school, wake up at 5 in the morning every day, taking trains and buses to get to school. So ever since then on, he helped in everything. He was helpful throughout the whole, couple of years or whatever. But for the most part, I had to figure out life on my own. So nothing I haven't been through that I can't get through.
I mean, that's huge because I think one of the biggest keys. I'm only 23, and people I have on here most of the time my age or younger than me. I think the biggest key is not being afraid of mobility. Because if you're not in the right situation, you got to take yourself out of it. And of course, I mean, you've done that. At the same time, it's almost like a promotion. Like you worked really hard. You went from JUCO to Kansas. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you picked off Kyler Murray twice. He's going to go number 1 in the draft, and you picked him off twice in a game. So, I think that it's really incredible what you've been able to do. And, I really want to, get your thoughts overall on your college career at KU. Like, do you feel you've done everything you could? Do you feel looking back, this was great? Or do you have anything that you kind of left on the table? Like, how would you describe your career in a nutshell?
Oh, I feel like it was the right situation at the end of the day. I feel like, things played out how they were meant to play out. I don't really feel like I could go back and redo anything or take anything back. I just feel like everything, I went through or whatever at KU, my experience, it was, meant to go like that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I mentioned, Kyler Murray. I have to ask you, what would you say is your favorite moment playing at KU? I mean, I know, obviously there are some huge moments for the team, but individually, man, that has to be up there.
To be honest, it's not. My first pick six, we had played Central Michigan this past year, and that was my first pick six in college, and it felt fake. Like it really felt like a video game. It felt surreal. So that's definitely the top. Like, man, I had a good game. Like I had a pick six that game, forced fumble, 2 pass breakups. Like it was an amazing game. I was like, man, my first pick six. Like I was so like shocked. I didn't even know how to celebrate. Like my teammates was more hyped for me than I was for myself because I didn't really understand like what just happened. Like
I can imagine. I mean, that must be insane. I mean, take me through it. So, you catch the ball, obviously you make the interception. How do you take it back to the house?
Man, I thought it was like a 66-yarder. So yeah, I caught the ball and then I seen I saw 2 fat linemen in front of me, and I could have easily went out of bounds. I'm like, nah. Like if I make them miss, then it's touchdown. So I made them miss, and then 2 more dudes tried to tackle me from behind. I just spent out of the tackles, and scored.
That's awesome. Love it. I mean, it kind of goes to show, I know everyone's like, well, they're just football players. It's like, no, like I'm talking to a human being just like myself, and it's like,
exactly.
It's the emotion, that's why I love it. With that being said, you played in the Big 12. So first and foremost, you played against guys that are going first round all day.
Oh yeah.
You played against guys that are already in the league that have made an impact. With that being said, who is the toughest opponent that you faced in college?
Player or team?
I would say player.
That's hard.
Because I feel like torturing you, so I'm going to say player.
I mean, that's hard. I mean, I was able to. I played a lot of people for 2 years. I'm gonna go with the recent year. I'm gonna go with 2018. The toughest opponent probably would have had to be Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray.
I mean, it's like I wasn't, I guess it's harder on these linemen and stuff. He's a twitchy guy and he can do so much things. But yeah, I would say him.
Yeah, it's definitely, again, I mean, he's probably going to go first overall, so definitely not a bad pick there. It's pretty incredible, though, just like the Big 12 pumps out this, they pump out these guys that are not only, ready to dominate college, but they're ready to dominate the NFL. I mean, that Hakeem Butler guy kind of came out of nowhere for Iowa State, but, I'm sure you've seen him. He's pretty good, too.
Yeah, we played against him.
So I want to get your thoughts on Coach David Beatty, because obviously, you guys didn't win national titles there, but I mean, at the end of the day, he had you guys playing tough from beginning to end, no matter the score. I don't think you ever gave up on any game whatsoever. And I've seen it. I've seen teams give up, but you guys fight till the end, no matter what. What's your overall thoughts on, Coach David Beatty?
I feel like, hats off to him and, everything. But I feel like the defense we had, the players that we had out there, our mentality, out there was just to not give up. Like, y'all going to have to see us for 60 minutes, and you're going to have to play every minute of that. So just like the players on the defense we had out there and the guys who backed them up, like, we were always competitive. So, I mean, if you is like, giving up, the next man is right up trying to take your position. So, and our philosophy was just never quit. we trying to show that, you know, we can hang with the rest of these teams. Like, we weren't scared of anybody, you know. Our whole thing was just to, you know, keep fighting to the end. You never know what could happen. You know, keep believing in each other. Keep doing your job. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think that, you know, that definitely makes a ton of sense. And I totally agree, honestly. You know, on the flip side, you know, now Les Miles is there and you're headed off to, you know, the NFL. So, I mean, like, what are your thoughts on Les Miles? Is, I guess at this point, you're a KU fan at this point since you're on the team anymore. But what's your thoughts on Les?
Man, he seems like he's a very, you know, genuine guy. You know, caring. Seems like he really cares about the, you know, the program, and he's willing to, you know, do whatever he has to do, you know, to try to turn it around and change it. You know, I haven't met him too many times, met him a few times, but you know, from what I've seen and what I've heard, yeah, he's a very cool guy.
Yeah, no, he seems awesome. He actually followed me on Twitter, so I was like, "What?" Like, but
that's big. That's big.
but no, it's cool. You know, somebody that I feel like doesn't really get much of a fair shake. You know, because everyone just attributes his success at LSU to Nick Saban, which I don't really think is fair. So I think this is his opportunity to kind of, you know, prove the naysayers wrong. But I want to go, you know, we're kind of talking a lot of KU. I want to wrap this little segment up, you know, and then get into, you know, you, obviously. You know, what was it like, you know, playing with guys like Daniel Wise, Mike Lee, Ko Harris, you know, Joe Dineen, and just that defense as a whole?
Man, it was awesome, man. It was just a good experience overall playing with those guys. Playing with really, you know, a lot of veteran guys who've been in that system, you know, it made it easier for me to do my job. You know, guys who were already, you know, was there for a couple of years. And we built a good chemistry off of that and was able, you know, to feed off one another and handle what we had to handle.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, I think, you know, people won't notice because, again, the results weren't there. But, I mean, I think this defense had a lot of talent this year, and I think you guys, you know, yeah, I'm just saying, you know, Ko Harris could end up being, you know, a stud someday. I think you're going to have a great career. I think Joe Dineen, Daniel, Mike Lee is going to take someone's head off, literally.
Yeah.
But, you know, I definitely looking forward to, you know, watching you guys all as, you know, your careers develop. But, you know, now it's time, you know, you're kind of moving on and, you know, getting close to this draft process, and you have your pro day and you run a 4.3, and it kind of puts you on the map because, you know, how people are so obsessed with 40 times. So, so what was, you know, what was your overall thoughts on, you know, your pro day? And is there anything that you feel like you left on the table, or you feel good, you know, leaving KU for not the last time, but the last time for that type of thing?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I knew I was going to run fast because in training, I ran a 4.31 and 4.35. So I knew, you know, I was going to come in there and run fast, you know. It was just a matter of, you know, they got the new turf in the indoor, and it's kind of too brand new. So, you know, that kind of played a factor in there. But my goal was to go there, you know, and crack a 4.3. If I would have ran anything in the 4.4, that would have been, you know, unsatisfied. As far as like the drills and everything, I feel like I had a pretty good day. So I came out there and did what I had to do. Yeah, I don't feel like, you know, I could change anything or go back and do this. It's like, you know, I gave it my all, and the training paid off. I had to give thanks to God for, you know, you know, we go out there and, you know, run that 4.3 again consistently.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You definitely very impressive. But obviously, if you watch the film, it's not a shock.
Exactly. I'm glad you say that.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
glad
It's
you
all about
noticed
play
that.
speed, man. I get into. I mean, obviously, I don't want to take anything away from you because running a 4.3 is great. But what cornerback is running out of a sprinter stance?
Exactly, man. You got to go back and watch the film. You can't just say, "Oh, he's fast. We're running." He has at my position at least. You got to know how to cover. There's some guys in the NFL.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. I mean, we've seen guys that run 4.2s get drafted in the first round, and for whatever reason, they fall out of the league in 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, what happened? Well, did you watch them? Or did you just look at their numbers? But like with that being said, I'm very happy you had a great pro day. Sounded like it went very well. I was rooting for you and everyone else. Obviously, you're my team.
Yeah.
So, how would you say it in a nutshell? How is this like pre-draft process gone? Like talking from, in your downtime, which isn't really your downtime because I feel like, you can't really even have downtime during this time. But, just like everything from working out to doing the field drills to training, how has this whole thing been?
It's, to be honest, it's a long process, but I have to say, it's going to be worth it. And, it's been a long process, but time is flying at the same time. So everything is coming around fast, but I'm just trying to enjoy this moment while it's here, these moments while it's here, because, I'll never go through this process again. Dealing with, training for a pro day and in front of scouts and everything. I'm just trying to, suck up the moments and just live in the present.
That's a great point. That's a very great point that you're never going to go through this process again. So,
yeah.
When everyone's like, "Oh yeah, it's a pain, but it's a blessing," like then it kind of all makes sense. But with that being said, for my listeners, I mean, what would you say is your biggest strength for people that haven't gone and watched the tape?
I'm a student of the game. I love watching film and breaking film down. And that for a cornerback, film is big because you going up against the receiver know what route he's going to run, but you don't know, and film, it slows the game down and puts you at an advantage. So where, at some plays, you get jump routes, and that's how you get your turnovers, knowing what your opponent is doing, the tendencies, of the team or of the player you're guarding. Like, it's a whole lot of things, but I would definitely say I'm a student of the game. My film study is a strength of mine.
I love it. I think that's definitely a great strength to have, and guys like that tend to stick around the league in some facet, whether it's as a player or it's as a coach. A lot. The guys that are willing to put in the extra work and all of that. With that being said, what's one area in your game that you're looking to really improve on?
Just, developing into, I guess, a pro now. It's always, you can always get better at something. My game, my areas, fill in or whatever, I think that I may see, that these other, pro guys or these vet guys aren't doing. So just learn from them and, better my game from that and put it into my game. Just trying to learn, just trying to get better each and every time I step on the field.
Yeah, and my next question for you, if you have anybody, if no one answers, if no one rings the bell, then I get it. But is there anybody that you've kind of molded or like patterned your game after?
The two guys that I, were my top guys who I liked watching was Darrell Reeves and Patrick Peterson.
Yeah, those definitely aren't bad names.
Yeah, those are the two guys I try to, I guess, play similar like those guys, but learn, because both of them, they are different corners, but they're locked down at the end of the day. So I just try to, take some things from their book and, try to put it into mine.
That's really a great way of putting it. And, again, not bad names at all. I think that definitely, helps you out. Kind of want to dive a little bit into, a couple fun questions, not really anything related to the draft, but, which receiver do you most want to cover in the NFL?
I haven't thought about that one. That's a good question. Who I most want to cover? I'll probably have to say Julio Jones.
That's definitely not a bad answer. We get that a lot, actually.
Yeah, I have to say Julio. Freaking nature.
Yeah. Well, it's really cool, hearing different cornerbacks who they believe is, the best wide receiver in the league. And it's kind of crazy. Like, no one said Odell, really. It's been Julio, Antonio Brown, and DeAndre Hopkins. I think that physicality.
I wouldn't really say he's number one, but that's someone I'm looking, forward to covering. And, as well as, Odell Beckham and Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham might be one of the hardest, if not the hardest receivers to cover in the league, just because he got, so many tools, he can use. It's kind of like that complete receivers. Like, you got to stay on your pivot, every play.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And, the next kind of fun question is, which quarterback do you most want to pick off in the NFL?
Tom Brady.
99.9% of players say that.
Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, one of the two. But definitely, I'm a big Tom Brady fan, to be honest. I'm a big Tom Brady fan, but picking him off, man, that'd be crazy.
Well, Shaq, that's where we disagree, man, because while I'm a huge Kansas fan, I'm also a huge Rams fan, and Tom is 2-0 against the Rams in the Super. Oh, that hurt me to even say that, but so I can't, unfortunately, have that sentiment with you, but I do like Aaron Rodgers, and I did watch the Rams beat him this past season in LA, so it's all good. But with that being said, I did kind of mention, obviously we're a Rams podcast, so I have to ask you, have you met or spoken with the Rams yet?
I actually have not. No, not the Rams. No, I haven't.
You're totally schooling me. That was like a pump fake 3. Like,
hey man, no, I haven't. But they tell them to reach out to me. My phone is always on 24/7.
It's going back. Obviously, like, looking at your pro day. How many teams were there, if you can recall?
I'm not even sure, but there were a lot of teams there. There was definitely a lot of scouts there. Yeah. I don't know the exact number, but it was in the double digits for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Shaq, I really appreciate you coming on. I'm going to wrap it up with a question I always ask, or Alexis always asks, because she wasn't able to make it due to a personal, reason. But who is Shak Taylor as a player, and who is he as a person?
That's a great question. Shak Taylor as a person. If I could compare like my personality or anything to someone, I would say like Snoop Dogg. Cause I'm like a laid back, chill type of guy. So definitely like a Snoop Dogg. As a player, and it's just a whole nother beast out there. It's Taylor Allen. That's a football player, Taylor Allen. Every time he step on the field.
I love it. You got Taylor Island and you got Snoop Dogg, and I definitely get that vibe. Honestly, Snoop Dogg seems like the most chill person out there, where you could literally just have a conversation with him, no matter who you are. But that's the vibe I get from you.
Yep, that's what everybody told me like growing up, and still you remind me of Snoop Dogg. I just be just chilling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone has a different tone, when they come on a podcast. Some guys have a predetermined tone based on, how much dialogue they had with an agent, beforehand.
Yeah.
But I'm glad, I can definitely tell you're 100% authentic. I'm really looking forward to watching you as, this journey, starts, or rather takes another chapter. I really appreciate what you were doing at KU. I think those guys are going to be back. I think Les is going to help them big time. And,
definitely,
the guys who paved the wave, like yourself, they deserve credit too. So,
oh yeah.
So,
like I feel like, look out for, his son defense this season. This is last year. I feel like he's going to have a big year this year. So.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of his, and I'm a huge fan of I don't know how to pronounce his last name for whatever reason, but Charlo. Is it Charlo or Charlotte?
Oh yeah, Charlotte. Yeah, yep.
They got him from Bama. I think he's gonna be something.
Oh yeah, for sure. Look out for him too. Just a couple guys who are, I feel like, under the radar. I feel like those guys are gonna have big years. It's both their last. I think it's both their last years. But yeah, they definitely gonna have huge years for KU.
It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun watching you. I'd love to see you in horns. Obviously, huge Rams fan. But if that doesn't happen, which by the way, it has happened before. If you look at Aqib Talib right now, Ram Hawk and another Ram Hawk from back in the day. Leroy Irvin. So, and
I've never heard of him. I don't know who.
Oh my God, you never heard of Leroy Irvin?
Nah.
You gotta go watch his highlights.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, he's a Rams legend and a Kansas legend. So him and Nolan Cromwell, they kind of come from the same era. But,
okay.
Yeah, I mean we can. We could definitely, talk when, maybe catch up on the NFL, catch up on your season, how everything's going. But I appreciate you coming on. I do run another downtown podcast. It's Downtown Jayhawks podcast. So I'd love to have you on, talk some Kansas football during the regular season. But, but can't stress enough, how much I appreciate you coming on. And this has been a lot of fun. So.
No
all right, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You stay healthy.
That's the biggest thing. Thank you.
Absolutely. Stay healthy, and we'll keep in touch. And you go ball out, do your thing. Taylor Island.
Yes, sir. Thank you.